What's up, my boomers? It's me, Melanie Mac, here with my guest star, Coltrane. He was really popular in that other video that he interrupted, so he wants to hang out for this one too. So anyway, welcome to my new channel, Melanie Mac Go Boom. Good to see you again. If you are returning, and if you're not, welcome for the first time. If you want to check out the links I have in the description, you can find out where else you can follow me, because I'm all over the place. So today, dude, I sound like a celebrity pop culture person right now, because this is going to be two celebrity things in a row, which is funny because I honestly don't know hardly anything about celebrities. But hold up, let me interrupt for a quick second to tell you guys about this thing I'm doing with GFuel Energy. So I'm in this competition with some other creators right now. It's a 6-week thing, and every week we face off against each other. Now, for the first 3 weeks, I'm going to need carried, okay? That's where I'm going to need carried. Because if you use code MAC, and I beat my opponent in GFuel sales for those first 3 weeks, which it resets every week, then I will move on to the next round, where it's all on me to create the right content. The cool creative content and all that kind of stuff. So, just saying, if you want an energy drink or perhaps a hydration formula, which I drink a lot every day, which doesn't have caffeine, then yeah, now's the time to stock up with code MAC, 30% off until / if I get eliminated. Now, there's big prizes, and yeah, I would love to be able to replace this boring bottle with my very own Melanie Mac Go Boom shaker cup. So let's do it. This sparked my interest today because Mad Max Fury Road is one of my favorite movies of all time. And so I saw this on, you know, how you get suggested articles and stuff on social media. Well, this is one of them. And it caught my interest enough to actually read it. So I was like, dude, I need to talk about this today. So apparently Charlize Theron felt threatened by Tom Hardy on the set of Mad Max Fury Road. So I'm going to go ahead and read this article. Yeah, good movie, blah, blah, blah. I ain't trying to read all the fluff. But anyway, apparently she wrote a book, I guess, and this is in it. So that already somewhat, I don't know the total validity of it, but it's hard to say. But let me go ahead and read this, and then I'll leave my opinions, and y'all can let me know yours as well. But the camera operator apparently said, I remember vividly the day. The call on set was 8 o'clock. Charlize got there right at 8 o'clock. Sat in the war rig, knowing that Tom's never going to be there at 8, even though they made a special request for him to be there on time. So I guess he's perpetually late on set. He was notorious for never being on time in the morning. If the call time was in the morning, forget it. He didn't show up. Well, that's a pain. I will say that is a pain to deal with, and obviously I'm not an actress. I've done like some commercials and TV, a couple TV stuff, but for hosting, not acting. But at any rate, this and that kind of stuff and influencer stuff that I've done, it's a pain when people are late. I hate it, and I'm the type of person that I want to show up early. I'm mad if I'm not early for being early. So I do get how that would be frustrating. But let's continue reading this. 11 o'clock. Okay, so this is 3 hours late. That's quite a lot. So Charlize is now on the war rig, sitting there with her makeup on and a full costume for 3 hours. Tom turns up, and he walks casually across the desert. She jumps out of the war rig. I'm just picturing her in Furiosa makeup and all. That must have been intimidating. And she starts swearing her head off at him, saying, find the effing C word, $100,000 for every minute that he's held up his crew. Why can't I picture her doing that? Like, in full, like, costume makeup? How disrespectful you are. She was right. Full rant. She screams it out. It's so loud. It's so windy. He might have heard some of it, but he charged up to her and went, what did you say to me? Now, I don't blame her for being mad. I think just coming out the gate screaming, that's not my style. But do I blame her for being mad? No, but she's a very like tall woman, and with her makeup and hair and all that, like Furiosa style, I'm sure she's intimidating. So he probably saw her as like an equal threat, you know? So then she talks about how his response made her feel unsafe, and how she asked for a woman producer to accompany her around to equalize some of the conflict. You'd think if you felt unsafe, you'd want a man there, though, because he could protect more than a woman. But I guess just for the emotional side of things, maybe. I don't know. It got to a place where it was kind of out of hand, and there was a sense that maybe sending a woman producer down could maybe equalize some of it, because I didn't feel safe. I kind of put my foot down. George then said, okay, well, if Denise comes, he was open to it, and that kind of made me breathe a little bit, because it felt like I would have another woman understanding what I was up against. I feel like a dude should understand this too, but I mean, if that's what she was more comfortable with, it is what it is. And then apparently, because, you know, when it comes to any type of accusations, and especially if it's part of a book, you know, you just want to think, is this like I don't know, I don't want to say somebody's making something like that up, but at the same time, it's like, you know, actors aren't exactly the most trustworthy people. So it's like, is this a PR thing? But the fact that he did respond to it here, and he goes, in hindsight, I was in over my head in many ways. The pressure on both of us was overwhelming at times. What she needed was a better, perhaps more experienced partner in me. That's something that can't be faked. I'd like to think that now that I'm older and uglier, I could rise to that occasion. So he doesn't really, I don't know, he doesn't really address like that actual situation, what he was feeling, all that kind of stuff. So I am kind of curious about that. But at any rate, I mean, they worked well together, because the movie is incredible. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. But yeah, just imagine just being there, dude. Imagine witnessing that, because that's the thing, like I just said earlier, is Charlize is she's intimidating herself. She's taller than some men, you know? But yeah, that was interesting. They still had, in my opinion, good on-screen chemistry, so they worked through it pretty well, I would say. But yeah, that's that. Let me go ahead and go into the comments here from my last video, or videos. David says, I'm trying to get my younger sister to try your diet because she's really skinny and she wants to not be a pencil. But as of yet, she won't try it. I'll keep working on her, though, because I think it would work, and so far nothing has. Now, if you remember, it's in my video of, for y'all who didn't see it, it's my Why We Need Misinformation video. It's got Joe Rogan on the thumbnail. I shared my story and my journey, because I fluctuated from being like extremely skinny, like very just skin and bones, to when I did try to gain weight, I got like skinny fat, and then I had to do like a body recomp, and that's what going to the gym and adjusting my macros and stuff for my carnivore diet has done, because I do the carnivore diet. You know, sometimes I'll have keto days, but for the most part, I'm just carnivore. It's like just meat, fish, eggs, some dairy sometimes, but minimal. So that's the thing, is it does work great. I think that's not the only way if she wanted to gain weight. Now, it really depends on how she wants to gain weight as well. Now, if she wants to gain fat, then the easiest way to do that, which, mind you, is not very healthy, but just up your fats and your carbs. That is like the keto obesity. That's why that's a problem. Is because fats and carbs in combination, it's like I've said in other videos, is you need an energy deficit, not so much calorie deficit inherently, but an energy deficit to lose fat, and you need an energy surplus to gain fat. And carbs and fats are both energy. Protein will not store as fat, so that's not even an issue. Protein is vital for strength, however, and animal-based protein, because no amount of plant-based protein is even going to come close, especially when you're not eating animal fats to help you process and digest those amino acids and absorb them and all that kind of stuff. So, Coltrane, he's twitching. So, that being said, I do think that, carnivore diet is extremely optimal, especially, like, if you're wanting to recomp and you're wanting to build some muscle. And she said she's really skinny, so she may not have any fat at all. She might would want to even bulk first. And in that case, just eat a ton of protein and eat a lot of fats. I would keep carbs down simply because that's just not good for insulin levels. And, if you're like a superior athlete, like an NFL player or something, that don't even matter because they're going to burn through those glycogen stores anyway. But there's a lot of issues to be had with eating carbs for most people. Check out my misinformation video, everybody, if you want more information on that. But yeah, I would simply just tell her up the animal proteins, up the animal fats. Now, if she doesn't want to go full carnivore and stuff and she still wants to eat some carbs or whatever, go ahead. It'll still work, but upping the protein and the fat is just vital if she wants to get that curvier build. And lifting weights, because that's crucial for me. It was the upper body was the biggest thing for me. That was the most frail part of me. So I had to train upper body a lot. Now, depending on her body type and what she wants to build more, she can focus more on those muscle groups. But just eating enough, tracking the protein is crucial. But hopefully you'll be able to convince her. Maybe if she hasn't watched my video, I don't know. Maybe that would help if she watched the video. Nemesis says, I work on films in Hollywood, but live elsewhere. As soon as you cross into LA County, you can feel the cringe creeping over your face. That snotty vibe that emitted from Zoe. This was from my last video. Zoe Kravitz. Slithers all through Hollywood. I hear women shouldn't do sexy Halloween costumes, and in 10 years, breasts won't be a sexual thing anymore, etc. All day. It's the gas in their bubble. I can't even freaking imagine, dude, because like just being in the influencer space for 13 years, there's so many times I've gone to events and I've worked on projects with people and have filmed stuff, done some commercials, done some TV hosting stuff, that kind of thing. Just influencers who aren't even actors. So many of them are the biggest divas. And when I say diva, I mean that gender neutral, because I've seen dudes with like 50,000 subs even, or like 30,000, like not even near the million mark of the super famous, who are the biggest divas and who think their crap don't stink, who are always late, who are always complaining, nothing's ever good enough, and they're so difficult to work with. And I'm just like, and they just halfway do anything. It's like, what the crap? Now, obviously, not all of them are like this. There's some really good ones out there. And what's funny, and it's really odd to me, but I find that the people with the bigger amount of followings, in my experience, have been nicer. And you would think it would be the other way around. It's usually those smaller influencers that are just like, they got like a taste of success, but they're not quite there. They're the ones that are the biggest divas. Now, again, there's some great ones. This isn't speaking for all, but there are some that I've just been like, holy crap. I've just been baffled by the audacity. But yeah, so I can't even imagine what that's like for you working with actual celebrities. Holy crap. All right, so Hank says, it's so nice to see a woman Lord of the Rings fan actually calling out Amazon for their woke garbage. That is the Rings of Power. Thank you. I will be covering a lot more of this most likely throughout the year. So, one good thing to come out of this dumpster fire is that I have plenty of content coming up. Now, I'm not watching it through Prime Video. I may not watch it at all, but if I do, let's just say it won't be through Prime Video. Mr. X says, honestly, I'm totally okay with games being uncool, especially around airheaded celebrity types. Our fandom going mainstream was neat for about 5 minutes, but then you realize that it is a net loss for, I almost burped, everyone involved. I agree. This was actually a really good point. And after I read this comment, I was like, wow, okay, that makes a lot of sense, because here's the thing is ever since that gaming and all that kind of stuff has gone mainstream, like you said, it was cool for a minute, but it's just been hijacked. You look at, we lost so much of the charm of like PS2, PS3 era games that isn't there now. It's also like Hollywood-ish and such a big focus on the woke side of things, trying to please game journos, all that kind of stuff. And I do feel like that, you have some exceptions with some games, but for the most part, gaming in general isn't nearly as good as it used to be, in my opinion. And that's a lot of it has to do with who they're marketing things to now. Coltrane just decided to sit right in front of my screen, so okay. Adrian says, and this was in regard to Zoe Kravitz commenting, looking down on healers and women being healers. He says, has she never played an MMO? For real, she hasn't, to even say that. Women generally play healers by choice, and it's true. Now, I myself, like when it comes to like a MOBA, I usually like to play jungle. And then if I play an MMO, like World of Warcraft or something, I kind of go between tank or like hunter or something like that. Like I had a DK at one point and I like to tank with that. But otherwise like a hunter type. But I'm telling you, the girls that you queue with who queue healer, or even when I played Overwatch, I used to be like in an Overwatch group and there were so many, like anytime I'd run into girls, it was like there's a lot of girls that would want to be healer. And I'm like, thank you. It just makes you so happy to play with a girl because it's like, we need you. We need the heals. And I think for some reason there's a negative stigma around the fact that girls like to play healers. Like some dudes will make fun of them for it. Or in this case, women will look down on it like they're just too good to play a healer. But it makes sense. I mean, women are more nurturing than men most of the time. And being a healer is like the most powerful thing you could possibly be. It's the most important role. And as other comments have stated as well, is if you're playing an MMO or like you're in arenas and all that kind of crap, who do they target? They target the healer. Because that's the most important role. So, yeah, there's nothing to look down on here with healers. All right, so let's go ahead and go into the verse of the day today. This is Philippians 2, verse 3. It says, do nothing from selfish ambition or conceit, but in humility count others more significant than yourselves. I just really like this. Came across this the other day. It was posted on my Instagram feed because I follow a lot of accounts that share Bible verses and stuff. And I thought, hey, I think this would be good for the verse of the day. And I think that's important, something that we can apply in our to our day-to-day life. Now, obviously, you don't want to be a pushover, so there's a balance here. But as a whole, when you really think about it, think about people who are very self-centered. Think about people who only think about themselves, right? How many times do you see other people want to brag on people or compliment people who are constantly bragging on themselves and gloating on themselves? It doesn't happen as much. I just know when somebody's constantly gloating about themselves, I don't ever want to compliment them because I'm like, okay, well, they're complimenting themselves nonstop. I ain't got to do anything. Also, they already got a big head. You don't want to feed their ego anymore when they're already got like self-centered issues. But then if you notice if the more humble people out there, you want to build them up because it's like, oh, you know what? You're underselling yourself, And so this applies to that as well in terms of just what you're doing in your life. Now, obviously, we have goals and we have dreams and things like that we want to pursue. But I think that there's just a balance to be had here. You don't want to be a pushover, but at the same time, you don't want to get to a point, and you see this a lot in the influencer space, Hollywood, and all that kind of stuff, which is why this is also fitting, is people who will step on others to get ahead. And it happens a lot, and there's times where it seems like they're succeeding and all that, but you just have to realize that there's more to it. And I don't believe that people who use others can truly be happy. It may seem like it at times, but if you get success because you hurt other people, how can you actually be happy with yourself after that? I don't know. But at the very least, if you want blessings in your life, and I find it in my own life, it's just whenever I help others and whenever I prioritize others and I don't make everything about me, and I try to focus on other people as well, I do feel like I'm blessed a lot more and that God blesses me a lot more when I do that versus if I'm only focused on myself. So I feel like that's something that I like to try to work on and try to help others. It's a gratifying thing too. Like, how happy does it make you when you help somebody else and they do well because of it in any area? It's pretty awesome. So anyway, there's that. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Look at Coltrane. I will see y'all tomorrow. And until then, go boom.